Do you know what happens when a quiet marketplace and a single knock on a woman's door become the spark that shakes an entire colony? It sounds impossible. It sounds like something only legends can do. Yet in 1929, ordinary women, most of them traders and mothers, created a movement so strong that the colonial officers had no idea how to control it. Before this story ends, you will know exactly what triggered that first step, why the women refused to step back, and how their voices changed the future of the region. But first, we need to return to the moment when the unrest began, a simple moment that nobody expected to grow into a war.
I am an old woman now. My hands shake when I try to lift anything. My eyes blur when I look at the road in the afternoon light. But when it comes to my past, everything is still clear, as if I am standing inside those moments again. This evening, the shadows in my compound are long. They remind me of another evening many years ago, before the roads in our area were opened, before the big lorries came, before the markets changed. I was only 15 then, a thin girl with long legs and quiet eyes. I did not understand the world, but I could feel when something was wrong. That year, 1929, our lives shifted, not with a loud sound, but with small movements, whispers, footsteps, women gathering in twos and threes, mothers speaking in low voices even when the sun was high. I did not know that I would witness something that would shape the history of our land, something our people call the Women's War, but which the white men later wrote down as a riot. Even at this my age, I still believe that calling it a riot is wrong. What I saw was the anger and courage of women who are protecting their homes. Tonight, as the sun goes down, I want to tell that story again, not because I enjoy remembering it, but because too many people have forgotten. The trouble started when the census officers entered our town. Before that time, the British officers counted men only. Women were not part of any tax system. Women did not own land the same way men did. Women traded in markets, carried children, planted food, but they were not taxed. So when the census officer came and tried to count the women, everybody became alert. I remember my mother's face that afternoon. She was pounding cocoyam when she heard the news. Her hands stopped in the air. Her eyes changed. She tied her wrapper again, even though it was not loose. Women began to whisper. They want to count us like they count goats. What do they plan to do with our names?
They wanted to create a tax roll that included women. They did not understand our system. They did not understand that in many parts of Igbo land and Ibibio land, women already had their own form of government and did not answer directly to male leaders or warrant chiefs. The rumor moved from house to house until it reached the market. By evening, everybody knew. Before the white men came, our women had their own way of settling problems. There were Mikiri meetings where women gathered to talk about market prices, marriages, disputes, or community matters. Women had a system called sitting on a man, where they would confront a man who behaved badly, using songs and ridicule to correct him. It was not violent, it was cultural, and it was respected. Women had councils. Women had authority. Women had a voice. The officers did not understand this. They created a new leadership structure and put warrant chiefs in charge. Some of these warrant chiefs misused their position. They collected bribes. They abused women. They forced labor. They acted outside the customs. So when the census officer tried to count women, it was not only about tax. It was about fear that the colonial system wanted to break the balance of power between men and women. This made the women angry. I was young, but I could see that something deep was shifting. I still remember the moon that night. Big, yellow, silent. Women gathered under the udala tree with lanterns hanging on long sticks. The air smelled of dry leaves and palm oil. I hid behind a bush to listen. One woman said, they would tax us next. Another said, if we allow this one, our daughters will suffer. Voices rose, then softened. Some women cried out of frustration. Some held their wrappers tightly, trying to calm their hearts. They spoke about what had happened in Oloko, where a woman named Nwanyerua had challenged a census officer. History confirms this moment. It was a real spark. She asked him why they were counting women. He answered with insults. Her anger moved like fire across the communities. That night, under the moon, I saw how fear can turn to courage. I saw women agreeing that silence was no longer safe.
The morning after the Mekiri meeting, the drum started early, steady, slow, calling. Women tied their strongest wrappers, not the fine ones, the strong ones used for long walking. Palm leaves were shared among them. Some carried calabashes for beating. Some carried small gourds that made sharp sounds. My mother tightened her wrapper twice. Her eyes were serious. She told me to stay in the compound, but I followed them from a distance. The air was cold. Dew touched my legs. Smoke from many kitchens rose into the sky. What I saw that morning showed me how unity begins. Not with a shout, but with quiet steps. Women from our village joined women from the next village, then from the next, then from another. Small groups became large ones. By the time they reached the main road toward Oloko, there were hundreds. History confirms that more than 10,000 women would eventually join across Aba, Owerri, Bende, Umuahia, Ikotekpene, and other areas. I had never seen so many women moving together before. Igbo women, Ibibio women, some from towns I did not know. Their songs were strong but steady. Their feet made the dust rise behind them. When we reached Oloko, the crowd was massive. I climbed an old stool to see better. The road was full. The compound was full. Voices shook the air. That day, I understood what a united crowd looked like.
The women gathered around the compound of the Warren chief who was behaving badly. He had been accused of corruption, insult, and misuse of power. The women used sitting on him, a cultural protest that was common before colonial rule. They sang, they clapped, they stamped their feet, they shook their wrappers, they mocked him with dance and song. It was peaceful, it was strong, it was cultural. The chief tried to speak, his voice shook. He sweated even though the morning was cool. I saw my mother among the women near the front. Her face was calm but firm. That morning, I learned that fear does not only belong to the weak. Even powerful men can be afraid when the truth confronts them. The soldiers arrived. This is the part of the story that always weakens my chest. The soldiers did not understand the women's protest style. They did not understand sitting on a man. They only saw a large crowd surrounding a chief. A gunshot cracked the air. Women screamed. Some ran. Some fell. History confirms this. Real women died that day. Real bullets were fired. Real lives were lost in multiple towns during the Women's War. I hid near a bamboo fence, covering my head. I saw my mother shielding a small child with her body. That was the day my childhood ended.
Many women were wounded. Many died. Some homes lost mothers. Some children were left without guidance. Fear entered our villages and stayed for months. My mother came home quiet. She carried pain in her eyes. She carried memories she never explained to us. I remember seeing a broken calabash that one woman brought back. I also remember a wrapper stained with dust, blood, and sweat. The cost of courage is never small. That year taught me that bravery has a price. After the protests, the government made changes. They removed some powers from the Warren chiefs. They stopped the plan to tax women. They reviewed the court systems. They made adjustments to how chiefs were chosen. Women's political roles gained more recognition. The Women's War forced the colonial system to rethink its methods. The changes did not happen with noise. They happened quietly and slowly, little by little. But the steps were real. It showed me that change sometimes walks with slow feet. Now, in my grey age, I sit with my walking stick and close my eyes. I still see the march. I still hear the drums. I still feel the dust rising behind thousands of feet. I still see my mother's wrapper tied tight. I still hear the songs of women standing shoulder to shoulder. I still remember the fear that touched us and the courage that covered it. Many people today do not know this story. Some have heard only small parts. Some think it was a riot, but I was there. I saw it. I lived inside it. It was not madness. It was not disorder. It was the strength of women defending their future. I tell this story because memory fades when nobody repeats it. And if these stories disappear, it will be as if those women never stood at all. Before the sun goes down completely, I whisper their names in my heart, and I pray that young people will remember that unity is stronger than fear, and that sometimes the soft voice of a mother can shake a whole government.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hit the like button if you learned something. Leave a comment if you know this story. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode.